Do you remember when it felt like K-dramas were going to take over the world? When every episode became a trending topic, every couple made our hearts race, and it seemed impossible to top that golden peak of 2019 and 2020? Well, January 2026 might be about to prove that this era is making a comeback. And these 5 dramas explain why. The Judge Returns premiered just now, on January 2nd, 2026 on MBC, and it's also hitting streaming platforms, including Viki. And it doesn't come with empty promises. It comes with weight, emotion, and a story that seems tailor-made for those who miss the heyday of dramas. The series stars Ji-sung, one of Korea's most respected actors when it comes to intense drama. Here, he plays a judge who deeply believes in justice, until he is betrayed by the very system he swore to defend. This judge is falsely accused, loses everything, and dies. But the story doesn't end there. Unexpectedly, he returns to the past, about 10 years prior, receiving something almost no character gets, a second chance. And it's not just a professional second chance, it's a chance to right wrongs, save the people he lost, and face head-on those who destroyed his life. This premise alone makes it clear why The Judge Returns is so reminiscent of the great dramas from the 2019-2020 peak. Because just like It's Okay to Not Be Okay, this series isn't just about the plot. It talks about guilt, regret, choices, and consequences. Here, every decision matters. Every episode carries real emotional weight. The supporting cast only reinforces this. Park Hee-soon, known for intense and ambiguous roles, brings the perfect moral conflict to the story, while Won Jin-ah adds the human emotional layer, that presence that makes us care, root for, and suffer along with them. And unlike many cold legal dramas, The Judge Returns blends courtroom, investigation, subtle fantasy, and human drama, creating that feeling we had watching series in 2020. You don't just watch the story, you live what the characters are feeling. This is the kind of drama that makes you think, what if I could go back in time? What would I do differently? Who would I try to save? It's exactly these kinds of questions that turned the peak-era dramas into unforgettable experiences. That's why The Judge Returns doesn't feel like just another release. It feels like the kind of series that marks the start of a strong year, sparking discussions, theories, emotions, and that attachment we've been missing. If 2019 and 2020 were years where dramas made us feel everything at once, 2026 might be starting with that exact same energy. And this is only the first on the list. If you miss those dramas that don't need exaggeration to leave a mark, the ones that arrive quietly but stay with you for a long time, then keep this name in mind. Spring Fever premieres on January 5th, 2026, airing on TVN, one of the strongest channels for quality emotional drama. For international audiences, the series will be available on Amazon Prime Video. The story follows a woman who has reached her limit with big city life, constant pressure, unrealistic expectations, hollow relationships, and a suffocating routine. Nothing explodes all at once. The exhaustion comes gradually, until she realizes that if she stays there, she'll lose herself completely. So she does something simple but powerful. She leaves. She moves to a small village, seeking silence, fresh air, and a chance to find herself again. And it is in this tranquil setting that Spring Fever begins to show its true strength. The male lead, played by Ahn Bo-hyun, isn't an idealized hero. He is reserved, emotionally closed off, and carries old wounds that never quite healed. Alongside him is Lee Ju-bin, delivering a sensitive, restrained, and extremely human performance, the kind that says more with a look than with long dialogues. It's impossible not to be reminded of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, not because the story is the same, but because the essence is relationships built in the day-to-day, simple conversations, comfortable silences, and a romance that grows naturally without rushing. Just like the great dramas of the 2019-2020 peak, Spring Fever understands that real emotion doesn't come from forced plot twists, but from relatability. Characters don't heal quickly. They don't change overnight. They stumble, retreat, and move forward little by little, exactly like in real life. This approach brings to mind the emotional impact of It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Stories about broken people trying to find a safe place within themselves. Spring Fever also delivers something many recent dramas have forgotten: emotional comfort. It's a series that embraces you, that slows down, that makes the viewer want to return to that village, to those characters, as if they were a refuge. So don't underestimate this drama. It doesn't scream, it doesn't shock, but it has everything to be exactly that kind of story that years later we remember and think, this drama made me feel something real. And that is exactly how the classics of the golden age were born. If you miss those dramas that blend romantic comedy, absurd situations, and charismatic characters, Undercover Miss Hong is a name that deserves attention. The series premieres on January 17th, 2026 on TVN, one of the most respected networks for high-quality rom-coms. For the international audience, the drama will also be available on streaming platforms with subtitles, following the network's global release standards. The protagonist is played by Park Shin-hye, one of Korea's most popular actresses, known for balancing humor, emotion, and screen presence with ease. Beside her is Go Kyung-pyo, forming a couple that's already generating hype from the very first promotional materials. The story follows Hong Geum-bo, an extremely competent, respected tax inspector focused on her work. However, to investigate a major company suspected of financial crimes, she receives an unusual mission: to infiltrate as a rookie employee, pretending to have little professional experience. From there, everything starts to go wrong, and that's exactly what makes the series work. Used to being in charge, Hong Geum-bo has to feign insecurity, learn to take orders, and deal with absurd situations in the corporate environment. And amidst all this, she crosses paths with the company's CEO, who has no idea who she really is, and ends up getting emotionally involved with this fake version of her. This type of premise is very reminiscent of the great dramas from the 2019-2020 peak, because it bets on something simple but efficient: secret identities, contrasting personalities, and romance built within the chaos of daily life. Just as Crash Landing on You used unexpected situations to create closeness between characters, Undercover Miss Hong turns the workplace into a stage for humor, romantic tension, and emotional relatability. Furthermore, the drama stands out for presenting a strong, intelligent, and experienced female lead, something that always had great appeal in the classics of that era. She isn't naive, she isn't passive, and she isn't waiting to be saved, which makes every situation even more entertaining. With a light pace, sharp dialogue, and easy-to-like characters, Undercover Miss Hong has everything to be that type of series you start without high expectations and end up binge-watching. It's exactly this kind of surprise that made many dramas from 2019 and 2020 become so memorable, and this one has all the ingredients to follow the same path in 2026. Now, if you miss those dramas that mix romance, fantasy, and emotion without falling into childish exaggeration, No Tale to Tell could be one of January's biggest surprises. The series premieres on January 16th, 2026 on SBS, a channel known for betting on fantasy productions with high emotional appeal. For international viewers, the drama will also be available on platforms like Viki, with subtitles in various languages. The story's protagonist is played by Kim Hye-yoon, an actress known for giving emotional depth to even the most unlikely characters. Beside her is Loman, forming a couple that is already drawing attention for the contrast between innocence, intensity, and mystery. The plot revolves around a gumiho, a nine-tailed fox who, after centuries of observing humans from a distance, ends up transformed into a human. But losing her tails doesn't mean automatically gaining human emotions. Love, guilt, attachment, and pain are still foreign concepts to her, and that is exactly where the drama finds its strength. In trying to live as a regular person, she begins to experience feelings she never had to face before: jealousy, fear of abandonment, the desire to belong. All of this while trying to hide her true nature and understand if human love is something worth the risk. This type of narrative recalls the emotional impact of peak-era dramas like It's Okay to Not Be Okay, and even Goblin, where fantasy was never the main point, but rather the internal conflict of the characters. No Tale to Tell uses the supernatural element merely as a metaphor. The real story is about someone who never needed to feel learning. Slowly, that feeling also hurts. And this creates a powerful emotional connection with the audience. Just as Crash Landing on You transformed unlikely situations into human stories, this drama turns a legendary being into someone vulnerable, confused, and emotionally exposed. And it is precisely this vulnerability that hooks you. Another strong point is the tone of the series. It isn't entirely lighthearted, but it isn't overly heavy either. There is subtle humor, moments of enchantment, and above all, that constant sensation that something beautiful could be born, or be lost at any moment. This balance was a hallmark of the great dramas of 2019 and 2020, series that knew how to mix pain and tenderness in just the right measure. That's why No Tale to Tell doesn't seem like just another fantasy drama. It looks like the kind of story that starts out as a curiosity and ends up leaving you missing it. And when a drama manages to do that, it's usually a sign that it has everything to make the list of unforgettables. If there is one drama in January 2026 that truly carries the promise of reviving the golden age of K-dramas, that name is Can This Love Be Translated? Or Love Can Be Translated. The series premieres on January 16th, 2026 with a global release on Netflix, arriving simultaneously for audiences all over the world, and that alone says a lot. When Netflix bets on this level of reach, it's because they believe the story has the potential to go beyond the niche, exactly as happened with Crash Landing on You. The lead is Kim Seon-ho, an actor the public knows very well when it comes to emotional, quiet, and profound romance. Beside him is Go Yoon-jung, one of the most valued actresses of the new generation, known for strong screen presence and emotional sensitivity. The combination of the two creates anticipation even before the premiere. The story revolves around a professional translator, specialized in languages and cultures, who starts working for a global star. He is someone used to turning feelings into words, emotions into clear sentences, intentions into understandable language. However, when the subject starts to be his own heart, everything gets more complicated. Because translating languages is easy, translating feelings is not. This is the heart of the series. The romance is born amidst cultural differences, emotional barriers, chaotic schedules, and an intense coexistence filled with silences. And this connects directly with what made the peak-era dramas so striking. Relationships that aren't perfect, but are deeply human. Just as It's Okay to Not Be Okay explored the difficulty of emotional expression, Can This Love Be Translated? Plays with the idea that two people can understand each other on paper, yet still get lost in practice. The drama doesn't promise exaggerated romance or forced scenes. On the contrary, it bets on glances, restrained dialogue, and small moments that carry a lot of meaning. Exactly the kind of construction that made series like Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha create such strong bonds with the audience. Another point that strengthens this comparison with the Golden Age is the story's tone. It isn't just light, but it isn't heavy either. There is subtle humor, contained emotion, and a constant sense of intimacy. It's that type of drama that makes you feel like you're following something real, not just watching it. And perhaps the greatest asset of Can This Love Be Translated is this. It talks about communication in a world where everyone speaks, but almost no one truly understands each other. This makes the story universal. That's why this drama doesn't look like just another highly anticipated release. It looks like the kind of series that can generate conversation, identification, attachment, and longing after it's over. If the dramas of 2019 and 2020 marked a generation by making us feel, connect, and remember, Can This Love Be Translated? Has everything to be the title that proves this era can still return. And maybe it's already coming back.